Along with two other partners, Dan Vietz and Butch Rigby, John also started a nonprofit organization called Thank You, Walt Disney, with the purpose of restoring the old Laugh-O-Gram studio building in downtown Kansas City.
And we're still in the process of raising money to have it eventually become an interactive historic site. A lot of people don't know that Kansas City cartoonists were the basis for Hollywood animation. A lot of the greats have come from the Kansas City area.
The three of them realized that if they didn't save the building, then no one would, and an historical landmark would be lost forever.
In the city where Walt Disney really grew up and learned his craft, there was nothing to signify or mark the fact that he'd ever even come through here.
We were able to buy the old Laugh-O-Gram studio building at 31st and Forest. Now this was a building where Walt Disney started his company. It was crumbling, falling down.
Walt Disney in 1921 had launched his company, Laugh-O-Gram Studios, and had essentially had the first Disney studio in the world located in this building. And in this building, a young Walt Disney sat up there on the second floor in his offices, but was feeding a little mouse, a little semi-tame mouse, beans out of a can of beans that he had because he couldn't afford to go out for dinner or lunch. And that little mouse, of course, years later, was the germ of the idea that became Mickey Mouse.
One day I was driving by the building just to see how it was doing, and we had the windows boarded up on the bottom. And I noticed that there had been several movie posters glued to the boards. Now that's called wild posting, where a promotion, a management agency or a public relations agency or for a movie will tell kids, just go glue these anywhere you can glue them, any surface you can put them on, where it's kind of spot marketing. Well, the odd thing was, it was a Touchstone Pictures movie. And I thought to myself, here's the irony. I wonder if the kid who was gluing this movie poster up had any idea that Touchstone Pictures was a wholly owned subsidiary of the Walt Disney Company, and Walt Disney himself sat right behind that glass eating lunches some days and sat upstairs so broke he couldn't pay for his tab down there. I go, what a great irony in the world to see that. I always thought, people don't sometimes understand the great history right there at their fingertips. That building was sort of the metaphor for the neighborhood, and a kid walking down the street would look at that thing and be reminded they come from a terrible place and there's no opportunity. But in fact, what that building will do is that building will be the point where a kid walking down the street can go inside. This kid is going to start understanding that the Walt Disneys of the world came from their circumstance, came from a tough situation, and it gives them vision. Sometimes you can tell a kid, hey, work hard, go to school, get an education, do great things. Goes right past them. But when Mickey Mouse says it, they listen. And that's a great story. That's a great thing about that building.
And as we all know, Walt Disney is one of the most important cultural icons of the 20th century and was responsible for more things in the way of family entertainment than probably any other human being has been. And that's our own Kansas City's own Walt Disney.